Here's a great tip that I learned off a friend of mine named Nick Such is when you combine hives, you do not just mix the bees up. What you do is you go ahead and you steal all of their brood that you're going to take. And what you do is if you have two hives, first thing you do is you make sure one of them is queenless. As long as it's queenless, what you do is that then you take all the brood, open up the one you're going to be keeping, take all the brood and put it where you want it, arrange the box. This time of year is in fall for us. It's October the 18th. So I want to make sure there's pollen in there, and I want to make sure that there is a bunch of nectar in there and honey in there, or funny honey. That's what I call sugar water honey. And then what you do is you arrange your box, get your box all ready to go, close it back up, and then you pour the bees in the front. So you pour the bees in the front and let them go on in. They'll take time. This one has a, look right here. They found a little hole. So if you watch, I had a robin screen here, but I don't want too many going at once. That's a lot. So I'm gonna close some of that up. Guess I can't. They'll come underneath of it, I guess. I guess I can't close it all the way. It's funny in the beginning. You're scared to death of getting stung. There you go. Oops, a couple bees bit the dust. I don't want them all funneling in there. I want them going in there very slowly. And they found one little hole and they were just boogieing in there. So what I'm going to do first, I want them to stop out here in the front. That has a robin screen on it, so they'll have a while figuring that out. What you don't want to do is to have 5,000 bees go running in there all of a sudden, because then it's like an attack and they all fight. And you don't want it to kick them into a fighting frenzy, and then you don't want to get them to kill the queen that was left behind. In this situation, I'm mixing 2.5 frames of bees with 2 frames of bees, and really, I'm tired. I have a crazy early first shift job. They want us there at 5 or 6 in the morning, and I'm a night owl. I like to go to bed at like between 1 and 3 if I'm allowed to do what I want. But I've been blessed to have this job, and so I'm working at this job for a Christian fella, and I'm tired. And sometimes at beekeeping, you can go slow and methodical and do everything just so. And other times, you're just like, the heck with it, let's get it done. I'm tired. And that's where I am today. So what I like to do is leave a little bitty hole about that big so the existing hive can run up there and fight. Now, the problem I have with this one is there's only 2 frames of bees in here. They're both very small hives, and they're going to stay on the brood much more than they are guarding. And so I'm going to give these bees, time on the outside. They were just getting ready to have 2.5 frames of bees just pile in there, and I didn't want it to become like a frenzy and kill the queen. So if I had a chance, I'd make one little tiny opening, and I'd let them go in there, and I'd let them go in single file. But now what I've done, if you watch here, if you look here in the robin screen, the ones that are figuring it out, you can see their nasal off, and they're like, hey, everybody, we found the entrance. It's over here. That's when they stick their butt way up in the air, and then they start spraying a chemical that says, come over here. And see, now what will happen, now that spray is coming, sorry about wiggling, how the spray's coming, bees will start coming over there. You see all these over in here. See, they're starting to go down. We're getting it figured out. Sometimes bees are unbelievably ingenuitive, but sometimes they're dumb as a rock. It's crazy. Because people love honeybees, and I do too. I love beekeeping. They think, oh, this is my little puppy, and they're just so brilliant. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. They're very ingenuitive. They can figure things out, but they'll also swarm when there's no time to make a nest, and they'll die. They'll just do crazy stuff sometimes. And I encourage everybody to have at least 4 hives. I know it's expensive and it costs some money, but you know, beekeeping is a pastime. What other pastimes do we have that's not expensive? Every hobby I ever had was expensive, especially hunting. Excuse me, I had to open my own sporting goods store just to be able to afford my hobby because hunting's expensive. So fishing's not too bad, really. But beekeeping is, I encourage everybody to have 4 hives. That way, if they do something stupid, they fly away, they die, they swarm, they abscond, they get sick, whatever. It ain't the end of the world because now I have enough hives. I started this fall with 48. Now I'm down to, it's kind of frustrating a little bit, but I'm down to like 37 because I've been taking all the small ones and combining them. I made a whole bunch of splits in the end of July to the first week of August, and I was very successful. I made 15 splits. Problem is when you make them that late, they never get big enough to make a hive that can survive Ohio's winters. So what you're really doing is you're making half of a hive. And so then what you have to do is figure out which queen has done better and keep the other one. In this situation, I had to do the opposite. I think that one of them was queenless, but I couldn't find her. There was eggs in there, and I just couldn't find her. So I went with the smaller one, which isn't what I wanted to do. These bees that I'm combining, they're real dark. I have some carnelian bees here that I got when I first started, and they're great. You can't even make them sting you. I mean, they're great. No matter what you do to them, you can pet them, which is crazy. And they'll pester you. They'll be like, bzz, bzz, bzz. They'll pester you when they're aggravated, but they won't sting you hardly at all. I think I've got stung once or twice by that hive all year, and I've been in there, 20 times. And a lot of the other ones, um, they aren't as easy as that one. That's one I breed off of. That's one I sell my nukes off of. Last year, a guy bought some nukes, and I talked to him the other day, and he said, "Wow, I love it. I just love it." I couldn't get him to give me a Zillow or a Google 5-star review because he didn't fool with Google, which is a bummer. Now, if you look, now there's half as many. You see, I don't know where they're getting in, but they've figured out a hole, but it's going in real slow, and that's what I want. They're probably going in the top. I was talking instead of watching. Beekeeping's fun. I like dark bees. That's those carnelian bees, and the problem is the queens are black. They're really black, and they're hard to find. You got to look for black when you're looking for them, and they're very difficult to find. In the spring, they don't eat hardly no stores during the winter. In the spring, they start off smaller than everybody else, and it concerns you. Like, man, I don't know if they'll make it. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 they catch up. Well, I hope this has been a neat video for you. Last year I had what was it, like 5 or 6 hives that were 4 frames or less. I even put them over a double screen board, and they still died. So this year I'm drawing the line at 5 frames of bees because everything was 5 frames and above, they did live. This one here is going to have right now about 4 frames of bees, but now since they both had about 1.5, 2 frames of brood, now they're going to have about 3 to 4 frames of brood on top of these bees they already have, and so they should be good. And now what I'm going to do next week, I'm going up to a show with a friend of mine up in Columbus. I'm going to buy a 40-pound box of pollen patties, and then I'm going to give everybody, a half pound or a pound or two of pollen, depending upon how big they are. I have hives right now anywhere between 3.5, 4 frames, and yesterday I found that one that was 16 frames. So, it's really weird. Another heads up too, the ones you got to worry about starving are the big, successful, happy hives. These little ones, they don't starve, it don't seem like, but them big ones will. Well, hope this has been good for you. Hope you enjoy my videos. If you would, check out my channel. Subscribe, help me get this thing cranking. I only have like 30 or 40. Just started this thing a couple months ago. And if you help me get it going, I appreciate it. This is Phil Montgomery from Philville. Be blessed.